Hello my friends, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be playing with all the new Tim Holtz alcohol inks as well as most of the alloys. I don't have all of them, I'm missing one, but I did manage to get my hands on all of the brand new alcohol inks. Y'all know I love my alcohol inks, and these are no exception. I love the bright, vibrant colors, and I was excited to try the alloys because they are definitely a little bit different than the mixatives. So I wanted to try these out on two different kinds of paper. My sweet, sweet friend Kim sent me a bunch of poster board to give a try, and I'll be honest, I was very, very skeptical. But I thought, we'll give it a try. We'll film while we're doing it and see what happens. So this first one, as you know, I like to play. And so all I'm doing right now is just playing. This first one is going to be using some Glacier, Boysenberry, and Gumball. And I have my Yupo paper, which is the synthetic plastic paper, on the left-hand side, and the poster board on the right-hand side. So my poster board is going to be always a little bit bigger than my Yupo paper, and I'm keeping my Yupo paper each time I play on the left-hand side with the poster board on the right-hand side, so that you are aware of that. And another little disclaimer. When you are using alcohol inks, make sure that you are in a very well-ventilated area. You don't want to be messing with the fumes too much. I'm showing you that I have both tools. I went ahead and splurged and got the alcohol ink blower, and by splurge, I mean I just bought it because it's actually a really inexpensive, so it was not a hard decision to make. And if you've never used alcohol inks before, I do have other videos. I'll talk a little bit about them here. Otherwise, if you are a veteran, just kind of enjoy, and if you want to ignore me, you can ignore me. All right, instead of using blending solution this time, I'm actually using some 91% isopropyl alcohol, and I have that just in a little eyedropper. I am just dropping a lot of that color on both, and you can see there is a bit of a difference, and I'll talk more about that later. But we're going to move on, and we're going to do the next one. So the difference between, if you have the marker spritzer, it's for markers in particular, but if you have the marker spritzers compared to the alcohol ink blower, they do basically the same thing, but I will say that the ink blower is actually much nicer on the hands. You do have to squeeze a little harder with your marker spritzer. And so I think for that reason, I will probably continue to use it, but otherwise it basically does the exact same thing. So if you have the marker spritzer and you're happy with it, don't feel like you got to go run out and buy this one. These next panels that I'm using, I did learn, and so I'm just working on one at a time. But this one's going to be using the colors Moss, Dijon, and Everglades. And like I said, I bought all 5 of the new color sets, and let me talk a little bit about those. We've got the Indigo Violet set, which has Cobalt, Boysenberry, and Vineyard. Then we have the Teal Blue, which has Laguna, Glacier, and Monsoon. We have the Mint Green, which has Moss, Mojito, and Everglades. Then we have the Orange and Yellow, which has Ember, Sienna, and Dijon. And then we have the Pink Red, which has Gumball, Fiesta, and Rosewood. And I think these are such a great addition to the colors that are already out there. I don't have all the colors, but I'm pretty close because I do really enjoy playing with alcohol inks. Now, one of the things that I noticed between the differences of the poster board, which when I say poster board, it's that stuff you can just get in the craft section of basically like Walmart, Target, any of those box big name stores. And you can find it a giant sheet, and so it's much more economical than Yupo paper, but there is definitely a difference. So I would encourage you, to try both, honestly, because you might find that you like one more than the other. But if price is your main thing, then definitely the poster board is going to be a better option. Now the poster board is definitely paper, has a coating on it, and so I think that's why the alcohol inks will stay on there the way that they do. But because it is paper, you're putting a wet medium on there, which is the alcohol inks, it's going to bow a little bit. It's going to warp, maybe not warp is not the word, but like when you're watercoloring, if you've noticed, how your paper will bow up in the center. That will definitely happen with the more liquid that you put on the poster board, and so you may have pooling of your colors on your outside edges. That really doesn't bother me a whole lot, because especially if I cut it a little bigger, then I can trim those down when I go to put those on to a card front. I like that it looks very, very wispy, and it seems that after a while it will soak into the paper, and then trying to reconstitute it with the alcohol or the blending solution might be a little bit more difficult to do. I'd have to do a lot more playing with it to make sure and see what that does, but it will, you know, sometimes with the Yupo paper you can almost completely start over. If you don't like what you're doing, you can just dump it in alcohol and then pretty much wipe it almost completely clean. I'm pretty sure that you cannot do that with the poster board. See, you'll notice that sometimes I'll put that alcohol or the colors on there, I'll drop that on there and it'll go right to the side. But I like how you can build up the color. You can't necessarily do that as much with your Yupo paper since it all just stays right there on the top of the paper. But like I said, with this one, since some of it will soak in over time, you can kind of build up your colors. And it has much more of a matte finish, which is really pretty neat. So I'm going to definitely keep playing with the poster board and my Yupo paper because I really like my Yupo looks too. All right, so now that I'm pretty much happy with those, I'll show you close up how they look. You can definitely see that one is a lot more matte and then the other one is a lot more glossy. And obviously they're going to be a different look. You're never going to get the same thing. So, you know, keep that in mind. This next one, I'm going to bring in some of that alloy because I really wanted to play with that. And this one uses the colors Sienna, Laguna, and Mojito. So I'm starting off with the Sienna. And because I'm, you know, totally new to these alloys, I'm probably doing it wrong, but I learn best by playing anyway. And I, you know, probably need to watch a few more videos myself, but I think my favorite way to use them is to put the alloy down first and then drop the color in it. I learned just by playing that I like that look. But I will say that these alloys are really, really cool. I'm very excited to get my hands on the Gilded. So that's the only one I don't have. This color that I used was Foundry. I used Foundry with this one. The other colors are Sterling, Statue, and Mind. And they're all just absolutely beautiful. This one in particular, these panels, I really wanted to leave some white space on the lower left-hand side and the upper right-hand side. So I'm working with those colors, just trying to work my way down from the upper left to the lower right. And trying to keep in mind that because that sienna is a little bit of an orangey color, because I had that blue next to it, if you go too crazy, you could end up just getting brown. And I think I end up doing that a little bit on the next one, on the poster board one. But I'm just continuing to play and just really, really enjoying this process because for me, like I said, that's the best way that I learn. And you can keep building up color. You can, you know, and some of these I think I go a little overboard. But again, you know, you just play and you see what works best. I definitely love all the shimmer that the alloys bring to the table there. I think they are just beautiful. And now I'm just kind of tapping some color on there just to get a few more dots of color. And then I'll move on to the poster board one. I don't know if you've noticed, but I am working on my glass mat. That is just fabulous for working with alcohol inks because if you get any of that on there, it wipes up super easy with just a little bit of water. Or if you don't want to use a whole lot of elbow grease, you can absolutely just use like your straight up alcohol, your isopropyl alcohol on there, and it'll wipe up super easy. So that's great. Actually, one of these panels a couple of these panels that I had been working on, I had to walk away and I didn't get to work on it again until the next day. And that alcohol ink had dried on there, really, really dried on there. So the water, it was a little bit harder for it to come off. I mean, it did. But I didn't want to work that hard, so I just took my isopropyl alcohol and put that right on there, and it just made all the difference. So keep that in mind too. This is a good surface. You wouldn't want to do it on one of your, like say, your self-healing mats because the alcohol will soak into the self-healing mat. So keep that in mind. And they can stain other surfaces too. So you can either test it out or definitely get yourself a glass mat or put it on a surface that you don't mind if it stains it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I love how these colors, it's just fun to play and just kind of see which ones you think might work well together. And I like this color combination a lot. So this is definitely going into my, do this color combo again. See, you can see there where I overlapped the green and that orange a little too much. And so it's definitely a brown color right there. Even though I know that sienna is a color that is kind of brown, it's more orange brown, but it's definitely brown right there. So take a look at the shimmer that is brought. I love that. Now we'll do one more, just because I just really wanted to show you another one. And this one we are using, this one is the, I think, statue. We're using statue. And so there's one where I put the statue down first. I put the alloy down and then dropped the color into it. And I like how that looks. It kind of gives it a veining, which is such a cool look, to have some of that veining that is the alloys. And because I like veining anyway with the colors themselves, but when you add that shimmer with the alloy, oh, some of these backgrounds turned out so nice. So this one I am going to try and cover the, completely cover the paper. But again, I have 3 separate colors. Those colors are, we're using Rosewood is like that dark red. Then we have Monsoon is our blue color. And then we're going to bring in some Ember, which is more of an orange color. Don't ask me why I picked these colors. I just randomly grabbed colors that I thought might work together. And normally I would go to Pinterest for ideas for different color combos to use, but in this case I just didn't. I just was so ready to play that I wanted to try and grab, make sure and work with all the colors, and just had fun. Now you might notice that on the tops of my lids I do have a little dot of color on those as well. I went ahead and organized all of my colors so that I know what I have, and I put that in a swatch book. If you've watched me before, you've probably seen my swatch book. It's just a 3-ring binder basically, and I use different pockets that I have that will fit into those 3-ring binders. Some of them are Simple Stories, and others I think are Bow Bunny, but in this case I just have little swatches of each of my alcohol inks, and then I went ahead and swatched them onto more Yupo paper and then used a punch, so that way when I'm looking at the top of my color, because I do put them inside of the holders, the Tim Holtz or Ranger alcohol ink holders, which I will have linked down below. But that's just one more way that I try to incorporate a lot of organization into my crafting. This video is probably going up live while we're still in quarantine, and I think that's part of the reason why I've been trying to get out as many videos as I can. It's been a little bit more difficult to do so because everybody's home right now, but I know that crafting has helped my sanity in all of this as well. And you know what? I'm actually an introvert, so I don't really mind being home, but even I'm starting to get bothered by being home so much and not really having contact with a bunch of people. So if you are one of those that is struggling with anxiety, or you're struggling with just, fear of all these things that are going on around you, I just encourage you to try to sit down and try to just, even if it's color or find some creative outlet, try to find something to take your mind off of, having to stay put, and do what makes you happy. I'm not saying go out and learn a whole new craft or anything like that, but what I am saying is, dig through your stash of goodies that you might have. Watch more YouTube videos if that helps you. Whatever, prayer, meditate, however you need to do that, because we're all in this together. Every one of us is having to go through the quarantine as well. You are not alone, even though it definitely feels like, since we can't go out and hang out with our neighbors, it sometimes feels like we are very much alone, but you are not. So hang in there, FaceTime some of your friends, find some creative outlets. You guys got this. Y'all are very special people. All right, so we are finishing up here, and let's take a closer look at this one. I think this one was probably one of my favorites as well. And then we'll take a look at some cards I made. Okay, so I'm back with some cards after having played with all those backgrounds using all the brand new inks that are out there. And I wanted to show you the cards that I made. And again, just talking a little bit about the poster board versus the Yupo paper. And they do give a little bit of a, different result, but they're both a lot of fun. And if, price is what you're looking for, I think that poster board is fantastic. So thank you, Kim, for pointing that out. So this one is the poster board, this one is not. And I'll show you the products that I used. Go through your stash, use what you have. I'm sure a lot of us have a lot of different word dyes that we could use, whatever the case may be. This one, I just popped it up on like 4 pieces of white cardstock, very thin cardstock, and then it's just and then stamped out the words from. This stamp set is a My Favorite Thing stamp set called Greetings and Salutations. And then that's just the mom die, I believe. So I think it is. Yeah, it's mom, just the mom die. And then I'll grab out others. But yeah, so that one was, and those colors on this one were Glacier, Boysenberry, and Gumball. All right, and this one, so this one is my Yupo paper, this one is my poster board, and it's definitely a little bit more dull. I wonder if I did this on the back side of the poster board, or maybe there isn't a difference in the sides. I'm not 100% sure. But I used the Lucky to Know You die from Simon Says Stamp. That one is a bear because there's a lot to it, but it's cool. And I kind of just backed it with some yellow that was a little off center. And the colors on this one are Moss, Dijon, and Everglades. So that's that one. And then we have this one. This is the Yupo paper, and this is the poster board. And that one uses the colors Sienna, Laguna, and Mojito. And it also used, which one was it? Foundry. I think that's what it is, the alloy. So that's fun, love that. And then it also uses the Uta Best die, and that one's from Simon Says Stamp as well. That's a CZ design. I just love that one. And then the last one I made, well, of cards anyway, this one is the one that is the Yupo paper, and here is the poster board, and I used the colors Ember, Dijon, Mojito, Laguna, and Boysenberry, and I tried to go kind of in rainbow order, just a little bit different kind of a rainbow. And then it uses the Good Vibes die from Simon Says Stamp as well. Now I did, you know, obviously make a couple others that I didn't make cards with. I just decided I wanted to hang on to these and use them for something else, but they were so fun. And I love how they're the same, but they're different. So I love how you can kind of build up the background on the poster board, because once it kind of dries, it dries. Whereas with this one, I could probably come in with some alcohol and kind of mess around a little bit more with it. But it's neat. I'm definitely going to keep playing and keep doing stuff like this. So yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave that in the comment section down below. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you have not already done so. And I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye, everybody.